Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Facts and Fatherhood podcast. I am your host, Demetrius, and I am so glad to be able to come again to meet you one more time for another great episode. I know you're going to get a whole lot out of what we share in this episode today. I have a wonderful guest that is going to be sharing with us, and I'm excited for you to hear from him today. As you know, I always say my only goal on our podcast is to help you love being the father the way that I love being the father. And yes, I absolutely love the responsibility and job I have of being the father. And I want you to do it too. Listen, there is so much that is happening, so much that is going on, so much that can discourage us. But as we always say, and we're going to say it again, come on, fellas, say it with me. I am a good man doing the best I can and working to make my best better. And guess what? I am here to help you along on your journey as one who is walking with you, walking beside you, to just help support and be a positive influence, and just someone who can coach you along to say, yes, man, it gets tough, it's hard, and as one of my t-shirts say, fatherhood or dad is one of the toughest jobs you will ever love. Tough job nonetheless, but it is something that you and I can love to do. Well, you know what I always tell you. I really need your help. I want you to make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to our podcast. And I want you to go to the website, or you can click right there, that little QR code. It'll take you directly to the factsandfathers.com website. There are a lot of tools, a lot of resources that are available over there. There's a fatherhood blog. There's a little place over there where you can get some merch that is available to you to just kind of, show off your style just a little bit. As a matter of fact, speaking of that, one of my favorite pieces that's over there that I want you to get your hands on is this little piece right here. We have it as a hoodie, we have it as a t-shirt, we have it as a cap. It's a statement that my dad used to say. We did this in honor of my dear old dad. There's some phrases and statements that he used to say all the time, and one of his favorite things to say was, boy or girl or whoever he's talking to, don't let the devil fool you. So go over there and grab you some of that "Don't Let the Devil Fool You" merch. You would definitely be a head turner. And so I want you to go get your hands on that. Also, I'm excited, y'all. We are very close to the release date of this brand new resource called "Like Arrows in My Hand," which is a book that I started writing when my children were in their mid-teens, and they're in their 20s now. A lot of research, a lot of thought, a lot of personal experience that I believe is going to be a tool to be able to help you as you're walking along on your fatherhood journey. So please go over there to the website, get ready to order this, get ready. You'll be looking for the release date that's going to be coming forward, and I'm so excited. Watch this. One of the other things you can grab while you're over there is you can grab this fatherhood target practice journal. It is a great way for you to just be able to record your progress as you're growing and developing and getting along, or maybe just kind of jot down a memory of something that you want to be able to come back to. It's a very helpful tool. So I'm excited about all the things that we have to offer over there. We've been connecting and doing some really great things, and preparing for the National Fatherhood Summit that's coming up in Dallas, Texas in August. I'm going to be participating in that. You'll be hearing more about that. I'll tell you, we're going to have an episode that's going to be dedicated specifically for preparation for the Fatherhood Summit. We're participating in several Fatherhood Summits and doing fatherhood workshops. Y'all, we are having a whole lot of fun, helping a whole lot of dads love their job of being a dad. So, listen, I want you to make sure that right now, go ahead, like, share, subscribe. Go ahead and invite somebody to come and be a part of the channel. Go ahead and do that for me right now, because I have a great guest that I'm getting ready to bring to the screen. Everybody, please do me a great favor and welcome my guest to the Facts and Fatherhood podcast in the person of Mr. Kevin Johnson. I am so glad to have you. How you doing today, Mr. Johnson?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Good to see you. Thanks so much for the invitation. Glad to be with you.
Yeah, yeah. So y'all, Mr. Kevin Johnson here is he's the founder and he is the CEO of the Johnson Leadership Group LLC. He'll tell you a little bit more about that. But he has been doing some phenomenal work, helping to develop leaders, helping organizations to build and develop and structure themselves. And he's doing some really, really great work. And he is one of these guys who loves being a father and who has a lot to say about the subject of fatherhood and the responsibility that we have. And we're going to be talking today, among many things, about the responsibility and role we have of building leaders for the very next generation. There is so much that is up ahead. We have children that have so much potential, and we have children that when they're born to us, sometimes we feel inadequate and we don't know what to do. But with a few principles that will help to guide us, we can actually become all that we need to be. Not perfect, but we can be present, we can be in the moment, and we can become all we need to be to help develop these future leaders for the next generation. So again, Kevin, so glad, Mr. Johnson, so glad to have you in our studio with us. Tell us a little bit more about what you do and who you are, where you're from, all the things.
Okay, all right, I sure will. Let's start out with you can call me Kevin. Mr. Johnson is my dad.
Gotcha.
All right, yeah, I'm a native of Richmond, Virginia, and I attended the Richmond public schools. And once I graduated, I matriculated across the street to Virginia Commonwealth University School of Business and graduated from there. And then I found myself relocating to the DMV, better known as the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. I did not realize that this was going to happen, but it did. I spent 34 years with the federal government, Department of Defense and Department of Treasury. And it was amazing, amazing career, absolutely amazing. Great champions, great sponsors, lots of coaches and mentors that believed in me and poured into me. And my last position was chief of staff at one of the major directorates at the Department of Defense. And that position taught me a lot. As a matter of fact, one of my bosses had recommended that I take the job much earlier in my career. I just didn't think I was ready for it because chief of staff is a pretty big role. But by the time I slid into the role, I saw what he meant. It was a perfect match for my personality, my leadership style, and how I gravitate toward people. And so once my career was over, I wanted to continue. So I started my company, the Johnson Leadership Group. That was 8 years ago. And we focus on leadership development training and executive coaching and mentoring. And that's across all government agencies, working with corporations, working with churches, nonprofits, and also academic institutions. Having a really great time, still learning, still growing, still trying to figure it out, but having a good time along the way and making the necessary pivots and being adaptable to what's going on in the marketplace right now so we can remain relatable and applicable in the marketplace. Been married 33 years, and from our union, we have three sons,
Oh,
all boys. We didn't have any daughters, although we do have a goddaughter. When she was a little girl, she was a flower girl in the wedding. Now she's a grown woman and she has two daughters. So we have two god granddaughters. But from our union, we have all sons. And it's been an interesting journey. They're all different. It's really amazing. Same parents, same household, but they're all different. And how you lead them and serve as a role model and a disciplinarian and holding them accountable is different. It really is different. And that's why I'm smiling because it was a great journey.
wow, wow, wow. That's something to celebrate. 33 years of marriage. And I tell you, I don't know how you all feel, but family is uber important
Oh, yeah.
in my life. I mean, I tell you, I say this about my children quite often. I say I am grateful that God blessed me to have the privilege of being able to raise what I believe are three of some of the best human beings on the face of the planet. That's
There
what
you
I'm saying.
go. That's
These are
it.
some of my favorite people. And I do have a bias. These are some of my favorite, these are my favorite people in the whole wide world. And so I'm really, really grateful for them. But I know with all of the process that you've had in all the career, the aspirations and everything that you had, and all of the accomplishments that you have, been featured in several different articles and several different magazines. I saw that you even were able to acquire a lifetime, a presidential lifetime achievement award, all the things. With all of those accolades and all of those wonderful accomplishments, I am certain that you definitely had the support of your family all along your journey. So just really kind of
Hmm.
talk to us a little bit about how important it is to have that family support in your journey of development.
Yeah, because they keep you encouraged, they keep you motivated, and they keep you inspired. As much as you're telling them that you believe in them, as much as you're telling them, I'm proud of you, as much as you're showing them or telling them that I love you, it's also reciprocal.
Mhm.
And you got to remember now, God created us to be relational. We are relational beings. Every person on the planet, and there's over 8 billion of us, has a desire to be connected to healthy, authentic, genuine, uplifting relationships. We all do.
Mhm.
And it's when you have those, I believe, you're at your best because you're surrounded by people that believe in you. So it's reciprocal. As much as we dish it out, that's part of being blessed. We also have to be open and receptive to receive it as well. And that's the blessing. So we are blessed. I heard you mention that word, but we're blessed to be a blessing,
Yes.
to help others, to support others, to advocate for others. And that's why you can smile, and that's why I can smile, and that's why other dads can smile, because that's what we do. That's
Hmm.
what we are created to do. That's our responsibility. And when we do that, it brings fulfillment and it brings joy. So that's what keeps me going. And all of the accolades are really, really nice, but I tell people all the time, it's a reflection of the fact that we are blessed.
Yeah.
And we're not so selfish to not share the gift and the talent and the knowledge that we have for the betterment of others.
Right.
And that's what it's all about. And so our job is to make it infectious and to help other people to catch on fire and do the same, because people do what people see. And
Hmm.
so if they see you and I loving fatherhood, if they see you and I loving marriage,
Hmm.
if they see you and I lifting other people up every opportunity that we have, guess what? They'll do the same because people do what
Yes.
people see.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And really even thinking about that, considering and the role that we have as fathers. One of the things that I had an opportunity, privilege just recently, to be able to participate in a one of our regional fatherhood summits.
Hmm.
And as I was doing the presentation of the summit, one of the things I talked about in sharing, my subject matter was "You are the man, and yes, you can."
All
And
right.
one of the things we talked about in our subject matter was about the fact of the things that we can do. And one of the things we talked about is how we really can set the standard for future generations. Like really, my what was the reality of my life uh, coming along? What were the things that mistakes probably of the generation prior to me that created the space of life that we lived in. The generations that come after me, the people that come after me, their reality does not have to look anything like mine. That I
Hmm.
really have the ability to be able to establish and I can raise the bar, and I can establish what the standard is going to look like for the generations that come after me. And one of the things I talked about was how important it is to establish and to reinforce values. Like
Hmm.
you have to have like a set of values that actually become the standard. And so when we talk about values, when we think about values, just share with us what are some of the your maybe your top three values that you have, or some of the values that you have, or that you feel are necessary as we kind of raise
Yeah.
that bar.
Yeah. The first one is respect.
Mhm.
The second one is integrity. And number three is honesty. And recognizing and acknowledging that nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes. But it kind of starts with respect for me, just having respect for the person and who they are and how they were created, and then bringing a high level of integrity to what we do, being where we say we're going to be, doing what we say we're going to do, and then of course in the area of just being honest and open in our conversations and our actions and our motives. It carries us a very, very long way, and it creates a pattern of behavior that really magnifies and helps other people to be able to walk the walk and to talk the talk. And you have to remember now, as leaders, whether it's in our neighborhood or in the workplace or in the home or in our church or in our social or civic organization, wherever we are, people are always watching, and they pick up on what to do and how to do it and when to do it and why to do it based on what they see. People are very observant. They don't always say much, but they're watching. And oftentimes, how we communicate is nonverbal. It's just the actions that we take. And it's such a good teacher, and it's also a good motivator as well. And I always share with leaders, in whatever capacity that you're leading, be mindful that it's more than just the words we say, but it's the steps, those footsteps that we take. It's the action, that call to action that people are really watching and they will in turn emulate. And so that's why I chose those three as my top core values. I have other core values as well, but those are the top three that I have identified going back decades, and they've been consistent throughout my life in whatever role I might be, as a husband, as a father, as a son. My dad and I are real close. He's a U.S. Marine. He reminds me that he's not a former Marine. He's not a retired Marine. He's a Marine, right? And he'll be 89 in a few days. He'll be 89.
Wow. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yep.
Let's go.
Yep.
Let's go.
Yep. We're gonna go down and visit. He's down in Richmond, Virginia. We're gonna go down, and his family's gonna go down and spend some time with him, take him out to lunch. We're gonna come on back and be a day trip. But he always reminded me when I was growing up to be prepared. And
Mhm.
what he was sharing with me was, it's always better to have an opportunity. No, it's always better to be prepared and not have an opportunity than it is to have an opportunity and not be prepared.
Yeah.
He didn't
Yeah.
say it that way, but that's what he meant. And then as I got older and I moved into the workplace, then I better understood exactly what he was talking about. Because, see, I've done both. I've had opportunities and I stepped into it, but I wasn't prepared.
Mm.
And then I've also had opportunities that I've stepped into that I was thoroughly prepared. I was prepared before the opportunity presented itself. So I've done both, and both of those are life lessons that I in turn share with others as well.
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
Hmm.
And um, as we really talk about the establishing of values, um, one of the things that I've really tried to do, and it really served me very well as the children got a little bit older, is really try to one of the ways that I try to teach them accountability. I never forget the first time we were sitting. They were kind of moving into their teenage years, and I think you, my audience definitely knows, but I think I shared with you once before that we have three children. I have a one son, older son, uh, and he just turned 24. And then on the same day, my boy girl twins turned
Hmm.
23. So we've got three with the same birthday, exactly a year apart. And so one of the things that happened as they were moving, together toward those teen years, is had a conversation with them, and I said, "Okay, guys, I want to talk to you about something." It was one of those times where Dad said, "Okay, everybody, let's sit down, let's talk."
Hmm.
And as I was talking with them, I said to them, and I'll never forget the look on their face when I made this statement. I said, "I want you to understand that your mom and I are people just like you, and because we're people, that means we're not perfect. So that means from time to time, your mom and I are going to be wrong about things." I'll never forget the look on their face. It was like, wow, like,
What?
like what? Like seriously, you're gonna be wrong. But I said to them, although we're gonna be wrong, and sometimes you may recognize that we're gonna be wrong. Now it's never your place to try to correct us when we're wrong. But what I need you to understand is, if I am wrong and I discover that that is a reality, that I was wrong, and all the things, what I'm going to do is I'm making commitment to you that I am going to make sure that I come back to you and say, hey, you know what, I was wrong, and make those necessary corrections and make those necessary repairs. Because I felt like the best way to demonstrate to them what accountability looked like was not to try to present that this was picture perfect, but to present to them, hey, this is what it looks like. When you make an error in judgment, this is what it looks like when you make a mistake. And all the things you come back, and you show that contrition, for the mistake that you made, and then you make the turn and say, hey, you know what, I was wrong, but here's what we want to do to kind of move forward, and this is what it looks like to correct that. So talk to us a little bit about accountability, and what that looks like, and how important it is, our role, or in our helping to develop that next generation. Accountability is a huge one.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think in terms of twofold, accountability to me is twofold. And I'll share with you what I mean by that. Most people, and this is part of human behavior, most people, when they hear terms like feedback and accountability, they immediately think about what they did wrong or a mistake that they made or an action that they took in error. Uh-oh, oh boy, this is not going to go well. But accountability is twofold. Here's what I mean. We are all surrounded by people who are outstanding at what they do. This is not
Mm-hmm.
just at work, but it could be in any of our outside organizations, in our family, in our neighborhood, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't take the time to hold them accountable for the great work that they're doing, over time, they will believe that we are taking them for granted. Remember now, I said a little bit earlier that we all have a desire to be connected with some healthy, authentic relationships with others. That's just part of how we're created. And part of that relational bonding has to do with how often we may tell someone, good job, you handle that well, I appreciate you, I'm glad you're on the team, keep doing what you're doing. That's accountability because what it does, it keeps that person that's already on the right road. And it keeps them inspired and motivated and encouraged to keep doing what they're doing.
Right.
But if they don't get any type of accountability, any type of feedback, any type of affirmation, they will begin to think in their own mind that they're being taken for granted. And remember now, a person's perception is their reality.
Absolutely.
So a lot of leaders don't think about it that way, but when your son is doing something great, let them know you're doing something great. Keep it up. Great job. Because otherwise they'll feel like we're overlooking them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, flip side, if someone is not quite carrying their pail of water, if they're not quite tapping into their potential, if they're not quite giving us the best that they can give, then that's the opportunity to hold them accountable in terms of that conversation and that feedback and that input to kind of get them to see their ways. But what's key about this is having a mutual conversation, not a one way conversation, but a mutual conversation so that they feel supported and they feel like we're an advocate and they know that we're there to help.
Mm-hmm.
So if you pinpoint an inadequacy, an area of development, something that kind of went south but it should have gone north, it went east but it should have gone west, that is an opportunity to have a conversation about it, but just make it a mutual conversation. And that's part of the accountability, because accountability should come from the spirit of helping the person to do better and to be better, not to ridicule, not to lambaste, not to hold ramifications, but for them to improve. And that's where most leaders miss it. So if you're surrounded by someone who's doing great, let them know, remind them, show some appreciation, give them some affirmation and some accolades. It doesn't have to be that often, but every now and again, it's not every day or even every week, but just let them know so they don't feel like they're being taken for granted. And then on the flip side, if they're not quite tapping into their potential and giving us their best, we hold them accountable by having that conversation, giving feedback, providing some input, but do it in the spirit of building them up and helping them to get better, and make sure the conversation is mutual. Let them have a stake in the conversation as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so you're unpacking that thing, but you're doing it one more time in the spirit of helping them to grow, to get better, to build them up, so that the next time they will do that much better in that particular area. And that's where most leaders miss it.
Yeah, I love that. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yep.
I'll never forget. That was one time, and this is my one of my sons as an adult.
Hmm.
Uh, we're having a conversation with him. We're talking, and he says to me, and we're talking. Something happened. He made a Aaron just made a mistake. He says to me, you know, well, my children call me different things. He calls me old man, and so he's like, hey, old man, so I really didn't like really want to talk a whole lot about it. I said because I just felt like you know I know you were disappointed, and he wanted to go into this whole spiel about me being disappointed.
Right.
And so I let him talk about it for a little bit, but then I told him, I said, okay, so here's what we need to do. I do not want to focus on my disappointment in this conversation.
Hmm.
That's not what we want to focus on. Okay,
There you
we
go.
don't want my disappointment to be the focus of this conversation. It's obvious. You knew it. That I was disappointed. All the things, right? However, what I really want to discuss in the conversation is what have you learned from what took place.
There you go.
Okay,
That's it.
and then number two, I want to know what are you going to do different so that you're not back in this space again, right? That's literally what I said. That's what I want to spend time talking about,
Hmm.
right? And then we kind of talked through those things, whatever. And after we got to talking through those things, and I was like, okay, the next thing I need you to understand is that you have my full vote of confidence. I believe in you that you have the capability, to do exactly what you're saying you're going to do. You've got my vote, you got my support, all the things. And so my expectation is that, hey, we'll never really have to have this conversation again, because you're walking away from the conversation, with some tools, with some things that a different mind frame, a different mindset, and you now walking away from the conversation knowing that you have the capability to do better. And I think that's that can be like a missing element in leadership, but it can be also a missing element, in our raising. Sometimes when children, we really want to be, I want you to get it, I want you to understand. And sometimes we can make the mistake of overemphasizing the disappointment, right? It was enough, for him to know, that I didn't like it, that, I was disappointed in what happened. But it was more important for us to understand what it took for neither one of us to be back in that space again.
Hmm.
And it was a learning to, even like I said, share with him, like, hey, I'm in your corner. Like, you know for me, I understood, or after we had conversations about it later on, it did a lot for his confidence. So whenever these conversations and these times and these moments happen, it means that I walk away encouraged, I walk away enthused, I walk away knowing, it was tough, but we're past that moment now, and we're like looking ahead, to what's better, what's before us. So now you have raised three sons,
Yes.
and these three sons, from my understanding, see, while we're talking about building leaders for the next generation, the proof is in the pudding, right? And so the reality is that Kevin here has raised three sons who are all adults and who are all doing some phenomenal things. And I really love, and I really want our audience to hear, that story as to how it came to be. In particular, the first son, and that was just a remarkable story. And you
Yeah.
guys, you guys need to hear this, okay? So tell us a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit.
Yeah. So my wife's name is Gail. We were married. We had been married for 3 years, um, trying to start a family, and she she wasn't conceiving. So she came to me one day, and I remember it's so. This was 30 years ago. I still remember it so crystal clear. The Lord says that we need to adopt. Okay. And by faith, I just believed it. I didn't question it. And at the time, she was working for AT&T. AT&T has phenomenal benefits, and I said, "Okay, let's get the ball rolling." And we ended up working with Bethany Christian Services, an adoption agency. I'm in Maryland, here in the state of Maryland, and ended up becoming really, really good friends with a young lady who happened to be the brand new director at that particular adoption agency. She had just come on board as the brand new director, and it just so happened that my wife and I prayed for a healthy child. Didn't matter if it was male or female. That would be born that year that we were praying, and we didn't know what the outcome would be. We just walked by faith and not by sight. Interestingly enough, the son that we ended up adopting was indeed born in that year, December of that year, but he was born to very, very young parents and was 3 months premature, 2 pounds, 4 ounces. And we saw him for the very first time in March the following year. And it's a very interesting story. He had been in the hospital, of course, connected to all of these tubes while he was trying to grow and get some strength. He was placed in foster care just for a real brief period. and he was 3 months old when we met him and saw him for the first time. By that time, he had kind of blossomed. He had picked up some weight, had a little afro, and we met him at the adoption agency. The foster mom was there, and the little fella had on a plaid red and blue outfit, including the little booties, sipping on a 4-ounce bottle of milk. And the foster mother placed him in my arms, and he looked up at me. His eyes were closed, actually. Then he looked up at me and he said, "Duh." And I melted. So, at that time, he was 3 months, and we proceeded with the all of the legalities in terms of adoption. AT&T paid for the entire cost in full. I remember going to the courthouse in Annapolis, Maryland, taking care of all the legal work, and making everything happen. And we took him home at 3 months. And so he was the first fella that came into our lives, nice and quiet, slept at night. We fought over who was going to give him a bath, all the usual first child stuff. And then the story gets really interesting because he was a very, very easy child to take care of. Um, 1 week later, literally 1 week after he came home, um, Gail got ill. She started having stomach aches. And I was like, oh boy, what's going? She said, I'm going to the doctor. I got to get this checked out. And I remember she coming back and she said, I'm pregnant.
Whoa.
Yeah, yeah. So 11 months later, well, 11 months after, there's 11 months between the oldest son and the middle son. One birthday is in November, and the other birthday is in um, November. So they're 11 months apart. And he came into our lives by way of natural birth. And then 15 months later, the baby boy, our youngest son, came. We were living in New Jersey at the time. He was born at the Princeton University Hospital in Princeton, New Jersey. He came 15 months after our second son. So they're all back to back to back. And as I was growing up, all my buddies would call me Fred McMurray, my three sons. So
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So it all worked out, and like I said in the very beginning, they're all different. My middle son, he's a big guy. He played varsity football, defensive lineman and offensive lineman. And I remember as a baby, as a toddler, he was really, really heavy. We used to have to get up with him every 2 hours. The oldest son would sleep throughout the night. The middle son would get up every 2 hours because he's a big guy. He was hungry and he needed something to eat. And but I remember my shoulders and my back with him. And but he's a big guy. And then here's the last interesting story.
Wow.
The youngest son, at the age of 2, he's diagnosed with autism, so he's autistic. But when he was a baby, for his first 3 years, he thought that when the sun came up, it was time to go to bed. And when the sun went down, it was time to get up and play and jump around. He did that for 3 years. Can you imagine? But the joy of fatherhood just goes to show that you have to do what you have to do to make sure that these young men, or in some cases, young women, grow up to be the best that they can be by providing a loving home for them. And that's what we did, and it's been a joy. We talk about it a lot, that journey, but we had a good time. And all these years later, they're young men now. We're still smiling, still smiling.
Wow. I
Yep.
love it. I
Yeah. Yep.
absolutely love it. So I mean, we want to see him. I mean, yeah, I know you got.
All right, you ready?
Uh, yeah, I'm
All right,
ready. I'm ready. I'm ready.
all right, here we go. I'm gonna bring them. I'm gonna bring them all up. Let's see. I want to share the screen. Let's see. This is a different setup. Give me a minute just to figure out how to
Yeah.
do
So
it because this is
hey,
different.
that's fine. Yeah, let's work it out. This is phenomenal, right? I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
because we get to see the fruit of the labor, right?
yeah, absolutely.
To know that, just us talking about the reality of, building that for the next generation, building these leaders for the next generation. I mean, here we are with leaders, right, who are doing phenomenal things. They are all doing really, really phenomenal, really, really great things. And so,
This are you able to see the photo? This is these are the three fellows. This was two Father's Day ago, where we got a chance to go to the studio for one of our church members is a professional photographer, and we took a number of photographs together there in the studio. And right next to me on the left is our oldest son, and with the dreads, and then next to him is the former varsity defensive lineman and offensive lineman. And then on the right of me is the youngest son. He's the one that was diagnosed with autism. So there you go. That's them. All right, you're on mute. I can't hear you. That's good. Okay, there you go.
There we
Were you able to see the picture okay? Okay. And you're back on mute again. Something's with your audio.
okay. How's that?
There you go. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, so this is it, y'all. This is the reality of being able to see the fruit of your labor,
Yes.
of just sticking in there, of fighting through, I'm sure, bouts and moments of discouragement and how is this going to work out and what is it going to look like in the end. But then to really trust that process, you know, and as a result, we have great young men who are doing great things, and we have a dad who is looking back and looking at the fruit of his labor, smiling and happy and rejoicing, of the fact that, hey, this was a tough journey. And it was a journey, and it was times where we had to choose joy along the way in the process of the journey. But hey, the job is done. And so I salute you. I salute you, Kevin, you and your
Thank you,
wife
sir.
for the phenomenal job that you've done in showing us a great example of what it looks like to lead and to prepare leaders for the next generation. And man, when years down the road, those other generations that will come will remember, hey, my pawpaw, my great grandpa, my great great grandfather, Kevin Johnson. I think there's a scripture that says the righteous are remembered forever. And so that's a beautiful thing that we can see that it really does work, y'all. I mean, the job, the responsibility role that we have as fathers is tremendous, but you know what? It is also rewarding. That's what when people ask me like how I feel about being a grandfather, and when I see the children doing what they're doing, that's the word I usually use. I said, man, this side of fatherhood is so rewarding. And so if you stick in there, and just keep on, man, I mean, you'll get to the point to where you'll actually look back and you'll be like, man, all of that was really worth it. All the
I
sleepless
agree.
nights, all the things that we had to walk through was definitely working.
I
So
agree.
I appreciate you for being gone with me today. I've had a good time
Thank you.
in
Thank you.
sharing with you. Are there any parting thoughts that you have for us today?
I would say look at the responsibility of fatherhood as a joy, as a blessing, and as an opportunity to mold and shape the next generation. If you think about it from that perspective, what you're doing is recognizing that you're blessed, but you're blessed to be a blessing.
Mm.